Janta Curfew, Lockdown 2.0, restricted movement, hardly any social contact, and more than a year gone by, and we're following the same thing. We've all studied that man is a social animal. So the question arises, how will this social animal survive in today's time of social distancing, wearing masks, physical distancing, and being away from family and friends, and increasingly fed up with the new normal? This burnout is what experts call the pandemic fatigue.
Extensive hammering or the disruption of businesses and work, that is hammering us, and the lack of social interaction is something that's hammering us the most. So pandemic fatigue on its own, it's a complete exhaustion of the emotional, the social, the psychological, and in some cases the financial resources that a person carries with himself.
So pandemic fatigue is real. It's absolutely real. It would happen in any situation where we are made to change our way of living, and in any situation where there is discomfort.
But as they say, time and tide wait for no one. So the aging continues, birthdays are being celebrated, marriages are being toasted to, and kids finish their academic years without actually going to school, and life goes on. However, when compared to the adults, kids have managed to gain in the pandemic, with more time with their parents and neighborhood friends, and no real pressure from school.
This is an age group that eventually has gained a lot because this was an age group which was easily neglected. Many of the children have been, they have been protected from different form of abuses. They have been able to generate better links and relationships with their grandparents. So it's on an own, I would say it's a mixed bag emotion over here. The pandemic fatigue obviously is there because they are also very frustrated to be doing online classes and would obviously love to be at school and continue their life as normal, but it's still at a slightly lesser level.
While children seem to have it slightly better, according to reports, it's the teenagers and young adults who've taken it on the chin, or on their mind rather.
The pandemic has affected them a lot because social interactions is at its lowest level. Also, this is a group where a lot of people have lost a lot of opportunities. I know of young children who probably were thinking of going to the US for graduation or for post-graduation. This is a group that has been affected because of that. This is a group where suddenly online culture is something that has been part of their life and they have adapted to it, but the kind of success that they were looking at and the kind of enjoyment or validation to their success they were looking at is not being happening. Relationships have taken a backseat. We have to understand this is a good age group, which is a young group. They are forming new young romantic relationships, and this being at home, being under lockdown, being under a slightly restrictive environment has stopped them from exploring a lot of their personalities and personality issues, which has hampered them. It's leading to a lot of depression, anxiety into them. Clinical anxiety is very high among them.
While adults have struggled too, with work from home and locked in at home, the burnout has been common among all.
People are working at any time. There is no kind of regular plan to it. I know people who start working at 9 o'clock in the morning and are working till 9 o'clock at night. 12 hours totally exhausted, just on front of the computer, just working. And this is a time that a lot of people have started to show a lot of symptoms of they've started to battle this mental fatigue by getting into addictions. So very commonly alcohol addiction is very high among this group. Psychotropic drugs like weed or others that are available illicitly in the market have started to grow in this group. There is an extreme amount of anxiety, and because of that you can also see online shopping happening. Gambling has increased within this group. There's an increased indulgence in things like pornography in this group. So we have to understand that this group is deeply affected by the things that are happening around, because it directly affects them. Many people have lost their livelihood. Many people have not got the promotions that they wanted. Many people's EMIs have been badly affected.
As common as this burnout gets, the consequences differ. So the question really is, how does one deal with it?
I think everyone should realize, as tough as it is, every human being is built with a mechanism to learn to adapt. We have it in us, and we have to adapt. We have to adapt for the greater good.
The biggest opportunity out of this pandemic, out of this lockdowns, out of everything, is to upgrade yourself. Don't just sit there. Upgrade yourself. You can be looking at videos to do that. You could be, reading. You could be doing certifications. You could, be consulting someone. You could be having a guide who helps you. You could be doing it thanks to your parents. It could be anyone.
For everyone else who's finding this difficult to manage, there are two words in life, which are very important for us to master at every age and at every time. Acceptance is one of them, and letting go. At this point, we can wish and intend that we could do so many other things. But right now, we've got to accept the situation for the greater good. Now, how can we deal with it? Creating distraction. If we're constantly watching the news, if we're constantly following the opinions of what people say and WhatsApp messages, that fear is building in your mind over and over again. You've got to create a distraction. So now is the best time to create a distraction. There is so much else that we can do, whether it's reading, whether it's painting, whether it's cooking, whatever it is. We have to adapt. Like I said, every human being is given the survival mechanism of adapting. Now's the time that we have to use it. But the human mind resists. We resist the process of adapting. And that makes it more and more difficult for us. So I think it's very important for us to create distractions. That's the only way. So the magic word is action. Move to action. There is always action that we can take, no matter how much of stress there is in our life.
Don't let the pandemic get the best of you. Just hang in there a little more and remember, this too shall pass.